Hello, guys, and welcome to another edition of All NBA 24/7. I am your host, Rishi Kapoor, and on tonight's episode, episode 30, I'm going to be discussing who I believe is the greatest player of the 2000s decade in the NBA. So let's get to it. The 2000s was really, the era that I grew up on. Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, all these guys. That was my era that I grew up on, playing NBA Street, NBA Live, NBA 2K, video games, NBA Inside Drive. Oh my God, what a great game, a game ahead of its time. But um, there's always like a speculation. There's been obviously when NBA on TNT was airing the player of the decade. Who's the player of the decade? And Kobe Bryant won. Kobe Bryant ended up being voted the most, and he had the most votes. But in my opinion, it's between um, obviously Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan. Those are three guys that come to mind when you're discussing the player of the decade of the entire 2000s. But out of those three, who do I believe is the player of the decade in the 2000s? It's Shaquille O'Neal. And here's why. Shaq won 4 championships and 3 Finals MVPs in the 2000s decade. In 2000, 2001, 2002, he did 3P with the Lakers, 3-time champ, 3-time Finals MVP. And then 2006, he shifted the power from the West to the East and won with the Miami Heat. So he won 4 titles. Kobe Bryant, won 4 titles as well. But he only won 2 Finals MVPs and 1 MVP. Shaq also won 1 MVP. So 4 championships, 3 Finals MVPs, and 1 MVP for Shaq. 4 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, and 1 MVP for Kobe. And for Tim Duncan, he won 3 championships, um, um, 2 Finals MVPs, and 2 MVPs in the 2000s decade. 2003. Yeah, 2 Finals MVPs. He won his third in '99, but you can't count that because that's not in the 2000s. So when you look at it that way, obviously All-Star games, All NBA teams, everything, okay, you can take that into account too. But the three most important categories are championships, Finals MVPs, and MVPs, in my opinion. And Shaquille O'Neal, did that, and it was the leader basically in those categories. And the fact that he shifted the power from the West to the East, just proved that he was the player of the decade in the 2000s because at the time everybody thought the West was powerful and everything like that. Then he made the East powerful by winning with the Miami Heat. Um, yeah. So based on that fact, I mean. I don't understand why people didn't vote for Shaq. Obviously, people voted for Kobe Bryant. Even LeBron James was up there in votes. I mean, how can you? LeBron James, first of all, shouldn't have been on the list. Because he's not. He didn't play the entire 2000s decade. He wasn't in the league in 2000, 2001, 2002. So he came to the league in 2003. So he didn't play the entire 2000s decade. I mean, I feel you should have replaced him. Dwayne Wade was on the list. You should have replaced him with players like, Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter. Guys that played the entire 2000s decade. I mean, that list should have been people that played from 2000 to 2009. And Shaq played the entire decade. I know that he missed games, but the fact that he won 4 championships, 3 Finals MVPs, and 1 MVP, in my opinion, he should have won more MVPs. I feel like that season when Steve Nash won it in 04-05, I feel like, Shaq should have won it. I mean, Shaq was the runner-up because, Shaq at that season went to Miami, and Miami the year before, I believe, didn't make it to the playoffs, and then they went to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and really got better. So, in my opinion, Shaquille O'Neal should have won the MVP award that year, and he should have, ended off his career with two NBA MVPs. I mean, it just shocks me that Kobe and him only won 1 MVP. But people said it's Kobe or Tim Duncan. I mean, even some people said Shaq. But in my opinion, the best player in the 2000s decade is Shaquille O'Neal. In my opinion, it's close. but I got to give the edge to Shaquille O'Neal out of him, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan. Um, so I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, I got to give it to Shaq. I mean, how can you give it to I know I won. If Kobe Bryant won his fifth championship in the 2000s, maybe you could have gave it to him. But his first three titles, he was the second option on the team. I mean, the driving force and the first option on that team obviously was Shaq. Kobe did do his part, but obviously the Lakers valued Shaq more than Kobe at that time. I mean, if you were to ask people, hey, do you want Shaq on or Kobe gone? They would have said Kobe, and Shaq, I mean, his finals averages were monstrous compared to what Kobe did. So yeah, so like, taking that into account as well, and obviously the three-peat, you know what I mean? So, and during those title runs too, Shaq and Kobe beat Tim Duncan, obviously back-to-back seasons. Obviously, Tim Duncan came back to beat them during the 02-03 season, and then going to the finals and winning a championship that year. But the fact that Kobe Bryant, the fact that Shaq and Kobe both won four titles, but Shaq won four titles, three Finals MVPs, and one MVP. I got to give the edge to him. Um, you know, and winning both in the West and the East, which Kobe and Tim Duncan didn't do because they played in the West the entire career. Shifting the power from the West to the East, making the power in the West to the East, I got to give it up to Shaq being the player of the decade in the 2000s. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know in the comment section below whether you think Shaq, Kobe, or Tim Duncan is the 2000s player of the decade, or whether you think it's somebody else and why. Don't be biased. Give me legitimate explanations and reasons as to why you believe what you believe. And yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. I've got a lot more videos coming through, so stay tuned, guys. The NBA season's almost coming up. Preseason's almost coming up, so stay tuned. I got a lot more content that I will be dishing out. And yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.